Hi, this is Gregory Possiman coming to you from Todd, North Carolina with the monthly message for August of 2021. Last month, there was no monthly message. The message for July was delayed and then postponed, canceled. So that was not a mistake. I thought it was back in the day, but now I see as I look back on it that it was perfect. And last month, I was fraught with a number of challenges, a lot of work, a lot of weddings, a lot of private sessions, and so on and so forth. And then I had some personal issues to deal with. I pointed out some of those in last month's newsletter. I received from one of my Chiron brothers, and I'm going to show you a picture that may be a little bit difficult to see, but you can see here a picture of us back in the day when we were much younger. I know that's a little difficult to see, but I've been a member of the Chiron Brotherhood since I believe it was 1994, over 26 years. And we have been meeting with each other, working on our patterns, our behaviors, and so forth. But I received a message from one of them. His name is Farah Allen. And Farah sent us information on the asteroid, small planet called Chiron, which is based on the Greek myth of Chiron the centaur, who is called the wounded healer. And that particular asteroid, that small planet Chiron, which is indeed out there in the heavens, is in retrograde from July 15th until December 15th. What difference does that make in our lives? Well, I'm not an astrologer, and I certainly don't pretend to be, but those who are in the know believe that we are in the process of bringing up old patterns of behavior that perhaps have resulted in some failure for us. So it is important to understand that this month's message will come from Master Teacher Spirit. And again, even though I'm not an astrologer or an expert in all that, I can look at my own life and I can see when those patterns of behavior are up for healing. And in my case, I felt like a failure because of some of the things that were happening in my life. I wasn't dealing with it. And my father had an employee back when I was a younger man, and that employee had a message on his bulletin board and it said, deal with it. And so I am in the process of dealing with all of those issues, looking at them from a solved or solution perspective instead of a failure perspective. So this month's message is going to come from Master Teacher Spirit, but I have a few announcements before we dive into that process. I would like to announce that this month, we are going to be at Gammel Brudegard, which is in Denmark on the Isle of Fyn. It is in an area called Helness, and the long-awaited gathering of Shambhala, the Shambhala gathering, is going to take place on the 27th of August through the 29th. My wife Sandy and I will be flying on the 24th to Denmark, and we will be at that gathering. We are somewhere between 21 and 24 people for that particular gathering. There may still be a little bit of space if you'd like to go to gregorypossman.com, our website, and take a look in the events section. You will see all the details there. You can also contact Henrik and Karen Titusen, who will be happy to see if there's any space available if you would like to join us. We know it would be a late sort of registration, but that's okay. There may be some additional space at the resort that is a seaside resort on the ocean. And so that is one announcement. And also I would like to announce that my friend Melissa Caprio, who hosts the show on Om Times Radio, Postcards to the Universe is her website. I appeared on that show on July 27th. And she interviewed Viwamas, who is an inner guardian of the earth, at least according to my knowledge of that entity. And the conversation was all about the progress of Earth and there was some discussion about Atlantis and how that affects us in the present. So if you'd like to listen to that, you can go to OM Times, TIMES Radio, and you can look up Melissa Caprio. She is the host of that show, and you can see the links to previous shows that I've done. And the next time I will appear on that show will be the 29th of September. Have no idea who will come through, but in our normal 1 hour program, there's a 20-minute conversation between Melissa and I, and then there are 40 minutes of live channeling that take place. So again, that's Om Times Radio with Melissa Caprio. So at this stage of the game, it's appropriate to introduce Master Teacher Spirit, who is one of the first entities that I channeled, along with the Archangel Michael and the Masteress Kuan Yin. And the Master Teacher Spirit will work with us on rooting out some of those old behaviors that have limited us in the past. So without further ado, let us begin. Greetings! We are the one who is called the Master Teacher Spirit, and we greet each of you. It is appropriate at this time that those patterns of behavior that have arisen, perhaps from the past, be described as something to be released. And as many of you have heard the example of the onion and peeling its layers, so to speak, that is an appropriate explanation. As you go deeper and deeper into your core lessons, and that's what we mean by root behaviors, as you go into these core lessons, there is a tendency for them to reappear in your life. Then you have a choice how you react to that. And as the man Ashid pointed out, his first reaction, and it was a reaction, not a response, his first reaction was being a failure. And it is important to understand that none of you are failures. You can see yourself that way if you choose to. On the other hand, you can imagine that everything that occurs in the universe and your life is perfect, that it is happening for a reason, and the reason leads to a lesson that you have perhaps not learned. So it is to understand that if you were to close your eyes and allow yourself to center yourself in your heart, or your third eye, or your throat, or your solar plexus, your stomach, you can begin to unravel those patterns of behavior that have haunted you for your entire life. And we are not judging them. Perhaps you are, but we are not. So, allowing yourself, for instance, to deserve, allowing yourself to be loved, and allowing yourself to love self, allowing yourself to consider yourself in your greatness rather than your inadequacy, giving yourself permission to be healthy instead of ill or sick, giving yourself permission to feel worthy enough to heal, finding that worthiness within self, seeing self as a gift rather than a plethora or a curse. Allow yourself to breathe. and recognizing the message from Krishnamurti, indeed a master. I deserve. I deserve. I deserve wealth. I deserve prosperity. I deserve joy and happiness. I deserve love. I deserve time in my life to do what I desire. I deserve my own self-respect. I deserve my pride, and perhaps even my ego. I deserve my wisdom. I deserve to offer advice to others when they ask for it. I deserve self-acceptance and self-approval. I deserve to move through my fears, whatever they may be. I may not be able to dissolve them, to release them entirely. I deserve, however, to loosen their grip. I deserve to move through them rather than release them. Your fears may be with you for the duration of your life. The question is, how do they affect you? Are you afraid of being alone? Are you afraid of being around people? Are you afraid of being in a loving relationship and therefore continue your solitary existence? Are you afraid of being wealthy, prosperous, and joyous? Are you afraid of snakes? Are you afraid of spiders? Then perhaps it is time to acquire a book and learn about them so that you can replace your fear with knowledge. If you're afraid of prosperity, start learning about it, learning about becoming prosperity instead of having prosperity. I am prosperous. I am fearless. I am powerful. I am loving and I am loved. I show my love to others so that they may feel free to show their love to me. I forgive, and as best I can, I let go. Have I always been ill in my life? Because I imagine I do not deserve the attention that a well person might receive. I am well. I am healed. I am healed now, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, and not next year. Now, I choose wellness in its totality. I choose for my healing to be whole. I choose wholeness. And breathe. As I look deeper and deeper into that issue or challenge or behavior or habit that has always hindered me, I look at its source. I look at the opposite that I might achieve or experience were I able to release it and breathe. And for a moment, I listen to the silence. I listen to my soul instead of my ego, and breathe. Perhaps for a few moments each day, I sit quietly and silently, and I listen to my soul. And perhaps for the first few days, I hear nothing. I only allow myself to ramble in my mind with my thoughts. But then as I continue, as the days pass, the messages begin to come, and I change my belief. Instead of believing that my soul is not available to me, I take action. I sit in the quiet, and I allow my soul to reveal itself. And I begin to change the patterns in my life of self-sabotage, the patterns that do not work. I become more attentive, more awake, more alert, and more alive. I pay attention to what is going on around me, and instead of judging it and looking for someone to blame, I realize it is my own creation, and I resolve to create something different, to give myself permission to enjoy, to celebrate, to shine my light out into the world, and to enjoy that process of celebration. And breathe. I stop looking for someone else to point out my shortcomings. I stop reveling in them and celebrating my shortcomings. And instead, I look at my achievements. I look at my success. I look at my love for others. I look at the humanitarian things that I have done, am doing, and will do in order to make a difference in the lives of those around me. And I focus on the positive instead of the negative. I see myself as a compassionate, benevolent being, a child of the universe, a child of the Creator, the God, the Goddess, all that is, a part of that, a component, and breathe that into your being. I allow myself the deservingness Krishnamurti alerts me to. And in the silence, I give myself permission to be joy and happiness and love and bliss and ecstasy. We are the Master Teacher Spirit. We leave you with a blessing. And the blessing is Ashahram. It means all the best. And we add all the time. So be it. bells I just rang are called tingshaws, and they were a gift from my good friend Birgitta, who is an accomplished chiropractor and healer in Odense, Denmark. I would like to thank you for joining me for the monthly message of August 2021. And I would also like to say from my wife Sandy, who is doing very well thanks to all your prayers and good wishes and loving energy, and I ask you to continue to pray for her. She certainly feels better. She seems to be healing. She'll have an MRI in September, and we'll find out what her physical condition is then. But at the moment, she's doing great. And for those of you who will join us at the Council of Shambhala gathering in August, Sandy will be there. So from Todd, North Carolina, this is Gregory Possiman, over and